Oh yeah, YouTube. That's right. I'm making the funny. I need a thumbnail face again because, well, I need a thumbnail. It's the thumbnail that goes for this video. So you watch this video because of the thumbnail, not because of my content. Algorithm says that none of that matters. It's just whether or not I make a goofy ass look on my face. That's the only thing that seems to matter as far as who views my shit. Anyhow, how are ya? I am Taylor. Welcome back to my channel. This is my weekly comic book review show where I go over this stack of goodness and let you know what I thought about it. And as always, we are starting with the worst and going towards two finally. We are making a journey from the worst to the best. Going on a journey? I don't know, whatever. We're traveling. Words, they're hard. So you know you're in for a great review when it starts like that, huh? Yeah. Anyway, yep. This is my review for the comics that came out on March 31st of 2021. We'll see how well this ages. So if you're viewing this in the future, my opinions might have changed. I don't know. Or I might never give a lot of these comics a second thought. That's kind of probably more accurate. Because what I basically do is I read them all, and as soon as I read them all, I put them in bags and boards, and then I just stack them in the gut feeling order. Yeah, see, words. I kind of put them in the, a very, very loose ranking system, and I reserve the right to always change this mess and change my opinion. But here we go. Here's kind of what I thought. And this week was a pretty good week. So bear in mind that, like, some of my initial crankiness, or what may be perceived as crankiness, is just me with a hard candy shell. And on the interior, there's a heart full of gooey caramel goodness. Yeah, okay, here we go. Silk number one. Yeah, I had no good transition from gooey caramel center to Silk number one. There's nothing particularly wrong about this comic. With this comic, there's just nothing really great about it. It's everything about this just seems kind of clunky and dated and a little bit like unnecessary. Not that most comic books are really kind of necessary. Honestly, they're more escapism. They're fantasy. They are what they are. 'Tis allergy season, people. So if you see an awkward edit, it's just because I sneezed all the hell over the place, and I cut it out of the video. But back to what I was saying. Silk, it's okay. There's nothing revolutionary about this comic, nothing great about it, nothing particularly horrible. There's just some clunky dialogue, some kind of awkward pacing. Art's fine. It's just there's no reason for this comic to be at all. It doesn't seem like they're telling any new story with it or giving anything new about the character, although I don't know anything about this character, honestly, so it all could be new. It just doesn't feel new. So, it is what it is. Yeah. King in Black, Return of the Valkyries, number 4. This is the last issue of this, kind of thankfully. It says, betrayed by Jane Foster. There's no betrayal in this book. There's just kind of I generally, well, maybe that's not true, because I used to really like when Jason Aaron was writing stuff. It just seems lately he's getting boring and expositionally and convoluted, and I don't know. This should be fine. It tells sort of a mythological tale. It sort of actually does maybe tie into King in Black a little, maybe. I don't know. I can't put my finger on this one. It just doesn't feel right. Like, and it's not exciting. There's no excitement in here, even though exciting things do happen. It's just the way that this story is told is so dulled down and so flattened and unnecessarily, I guess, muddied. That, like, and some of that might be on the art too. It's just kind of, the character design is boring. It's kind of hard to tell some of the characters apart, and yeah, I wish I could put my finger on why I don't like this one. I just really don't. I will probably not be picking up this is going to continue into another Valkyries spinoff. I'm not going to pick it up. It's not holding my interest. And it was a slog to get through this. I just kind of did out of, like, stubbornness more than anything else. and with the stubbornness and hope, I guess the hope that it would turn into something cool, it just never did. Yeah, all right. Shadecraft number 1. This is not awful. It's just there's nothing in here that's gonna make me read the second issue. Shadows, folks. Shadows. They have a life of their own, and they're kind of evil, or are they? Is there something else going on in here? I don't, the whole thing is, there's backstory of the main character that you get, and there's a bit of a plot, but it's shadows have a life of their own, but only the main character can see it. So sorry for spoiling that for you. I'm sure it has potential to go somewhere interesting. The art's gorgeous. It really kind of is. But if you're watching this at a later date and you're like, oh, you should have kept reading Shadecraft, or it gets better, let me know in the comments, because I will maybe pick it up as a trade paperback, but I am not going to keep up with this. I'm just not. All right. Let's go in this order. Okay. Two Moons. This is another one where the first issue started strong. Well, not another one. This is the first issue that started fairly strong. Not fantastic, but fairly strong. And this is okay. Solid art. Interesting setting during the Civil War. North versus South, Union versus Confederacy. It's just, again, there's just something off about it where I don't care. I know I should care. It's just I don't, and I am not going to keep up with this one either. But there's nothing particularly wrong with it. It's just I've got to thin down when I'm reading, and this just didn't hold me excited enough to keep going. So, all right, yeah, the Union number 4. This is fine. We're in the fine section. New appearances. There's a kind of funny new appearance. I think Paul Grist is the writer. He's trying a little too hard to be funny in places, and trying to. I don't know. I just don't. I might say that for a bit. Again, with a couple more books in here, this probably shouldn't exist either. These characters aren't going to go anywhere. Marvel's not going to do anything with them. It just sort of seems like Paul Grist is making this just in case. You should buy this in case Marvel in 15 years decides to do British spin-off TV. And then there's maybe a first appearance in here that's worth mentioning. It's not going to be. It'll be a very minor thing if it happens. I would bet money on it. And I don't know, I want a little more out of this. I like the Union Jack character. I like the Union Jack design of the character. Some of the other characters that he created are okay as well. It's just, I don't see it going anywhere. I don't see any future with this. I think it's going to be, this is the penultimate, that's the best word ever, right? Ever, possibly. Penultimate issue of this, I believe. I think there's only one more left. I'm looking forward to it ending. I'll finish it. It's just kind of, yeah. I don't see it going anywhere exciting, and I don't see anything fancy happening with it. So, speaking of, I don't know why the hell it exists, other than this is a cash grab and an attempt to make a character interesting that no one's ever thought was really all that interesting, and it kind of started off as a blatant character ripoff of another company, although maybe it was first. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Who knows? Who cares? Swamp Thing. No, I'm sorry. Avengers versus Man Thing. It's a totally different character than Swamp Thing. This is one of those Pat Gleason covers. It's probably the worst of the Pat Gleason covers in my oh-so-humble opinion, but I picked it up anyways. They're trying really hard to make Man Thing interesting this month, and they're sort of doing what DC did with Swamp Thing, expanding the scope of the powers and expanding the scope of what the character can do in order to make it relevant. And, instead of the green in the swamp, there's something else here. I can't remember what it's called. There is a first appearance in here. It is not bad. I'll probably finish it. There's 2 or 3 issues of this coming out. It's Steve Orlando. Steve Orlando is sort of like the epitome of solid average writer for me with what he does for the most part. I've never loved anything I've read by him. I generally don't hate what I've read by him. This is kind of in there as well. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't know why it's around, other than, they're trying real hard to be oh, Man Thing's going to be the new thing. They're trying to really push it. Maybe it'll work. Maybe they'll make a Man Thing TV show. in 15 years. When they make the Union TV show, it'll follow it up with the Man Thing. Yeah, all right. I Breathe a Body #3. Zach Thompson, Andy McDonald. Art is gorgeous in this. There's a lot of body horror. There's a lot of weird fungal growth horror. This is sort of as if David Cronenberg were writing a very cerebral horror story, which he tends to write anyways. Yeah, it's social media by way of this old movie called Existenz. That Cronenberg did not really. The two don't have much in common with each other, but there's just I think Cronenberg when I read this, and this is probably brilliant. It's probably very relevant, and I don't know if I care. Like it's a dense read. This is actually probably the most accessible of the 3 issues thus far, and it's still pretty dense. Zach Thompson just writes these stories that have layers upon layers upon layers, and I will finish it. I'm stubborn. I just want to see if how accessible it gets by the end, if it stays kind of impenetrable. A lot of his writing, it just seems to hold the audience off at arm's length because you sort of can't get what he's going for, or you're not smart enough to understand what's going on. Maybe that's just me. Another edit. Okay, yep, another awkward edit. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to think this is a brilliant work of art, and it might very well be. It very truly might be. And Zach Thompson might be a genius writer, or it's just I don't know. I think Moby Dick's brilliant too, but I'm probably never going to read it. All right. Strange Adventures #9. This is still Tom King being very Tom Kingy, where read it as a trade. You're probably gonna get much more enjoyment out of it versus these individual issues. This is probably another one of the war is hell, folks. War. What is it good for? And where characters are forced to make choices that normal humans wouldn't, and you have to do awful things in order to protect your family and your loved ones, or as revenge for your family or loved ones. There's a lot of that going on here. It's still gorgeous art by Mitch Gerard and Doc Shaner. Mitch Gerard's. And you're this is sort of progressing more as did Adam Strange commit these atrocities? And is he a war criminal or is he a war hero? It probably depends upon which lens you're looking through. And I think that's sort of the whole point of this miniseries, maxi series. I don't know, 12 issues thingy, 12-issue thingy. Yeah, that's why you're here for words like thingy and this deep, insightful nonsense. I still enjoy this. I am just kind of, again, if you can't tell, I'm sort of in a mood with some of these comics. Even though I think it is generally a really good week for comics. I just kind of want this one to be done already. Not in a bad way. It's just I want to read the last couple issues and have the story wrapped up and have it and see if it all comes together. It's starting to come together. I just want to see if Tom King sticks the landing, and I'm not sure if he will. All right, X-Men what number is this? 19. Hickman, Azrar, and Cho. The Vault is a thingy where thingy is the word of the week. Vault. Characters stuck in the vault. Time moves differently there. Evolution, superhumans, and Hickman being very Hickman. This is pretty cool. It's sort of got a little bit of Groundhog's Day-ish to it in a really different sense. Or that sort of idea of with time flowing differently, what can really happen. And it's also kind of a love story and kind of interesting. And I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely Hickman-y. There's another Hickman book in here that's more Hickman-y. But I enjoy this one enough. And I'm liking the X-Men core title enough. There's something needs to happen with the X-Men. I think this is starting to push things forward. And I think this is starting to advance what could be another long-term plot. Hickman plays a very long game. And I think the Vault and what's going on here could have repercussions for the heroes and stuff. The heroes. X-Men. They're not all heroes in Hickman's world either. But this could have repercussions down the line. I hope it does. I hope it advances the grand story and the grand plan a bit. Because while Hickman has had some great ideas, they just haven't. It seems like for the past couple issues, hasn't done much with them. This is a little different. There's stuff happening, obviously, and there's X-23 and Sync and Darwin are the 3 that are trapped in the vault, trying to learn some stuff and figure out what's going on in there. And Yeah, they learned it sort of, but there's a price to be paid because it wouldn't be comics without a price to be paid. All right, Nuclear Family number 2. I thought the first issue had a lot of promise. This issue is better. This issue is actually really pretty good. It's Stephanie Phillips, or no, it's not. Yeah, Stephanie Phillips and Tony Chastain. Art's gorgeous. Still trying to figure out what's going on and what's real and how things have happened. There's a surprise at the end that probably leads you to believe it might be real, and like the characters are doesn't explain what's going on with the main characters, but the main characters are also confused. Yeah, in 1950s post World War nuclear paranoia and the Russian nuclear threat. It's explored in this book in a pretty interesting way, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to issue 3. It's sort of advanced. This sort of explains a little more, but not much. It's kind of peeling away the onion, and inside you just hope there's more onion and not tears of sadness. Yeah, yeah. All right, Department of Truth number 7, another guest artist. I think it's a guest artist. I'm not sure. This is another sort of side story. I think not necessarily the main story, having to do with J. Harvey Oswald's P. Harvey Oswald's somebody. I can't remember the first initial. Oswald's assistant, and how he became the assistant, and what's going on with him, and tinfoil hats, and Men in Black, and conspiracy, and what's real. Department of Truth has been great from day one. I know some people had issues with the art last issue, and they might have their issues with the art this issue because it's not the main artist. The main artist is brilliant. I can't remember his name, but the fill-in artists are decent. Like this fill-in artist, Tony Bell, I think. Boss is very different, very tone and very different art style than the main artist, and it's very crisp and it's very clear and easy to follow story. And sometimes, like with comic book art, like the art, this is gonna sound weird because I make art, but like the art is kind of beside the point. Like you have to have the art service the story, and the art does service the story in here, and it moves the story along, and Boss's art does a good job of like progressing and a good job of like having panel transitions and making a very clear tale to understand. And so, while not super flashy, while not like super expressionistic like the other art can be in here, it does work, and I think it does a decent job, and I think it helps tell the story. So, all right, we're getting towards the good stuff here, the meat of it all. Crossover number 5. The plot thickens and moves forward. There's the sword from God Country, which I have not read. I need to read it. It's on my list. Another Donny Cates title. I think they're trying to pull in like stuff from their own universes or their own creations and use them and have crossovers, like the big crossover, hence the title. And they're trying to have giant world-changing events like crossovers tend to do, and superheroes versus regular folk, and throw in Mike Allred's Mad Men for good measure. I like this one as well. Again, with crossover, you probably can. You might actually be better off the trade as well as like some of the other stuff that's on this stack. It stuff happens, and there's a big fight and stuff, but like it is a little light, just a hair light on like story in this issue. Not a major complaint, and I still really enjoy it, and I'm still looking forward to reading this every month. It's one of those like I'm still excited to see every month, but it could use a little more story. Okay, Dead End Kids is Suburban Job number 3. This is really, really good. It's sort of a reverse heist, and I'm not going to be the only person that says this in the reviews, I'm sure. These 3 main characters find a bag of money, and now they have to, like, they're afraid of like, the consequences of finding the money because of whose money it is. Not to give too many spoilers, so they're trying to figure out a way to, like, solve this problem, and the way they came up with is pretty interesting, and it's going to have repercussions. The next issue, I believe, is the last issue of this. It's a tight, well-illustrated, clean story, really quick read, and not in a bad way. You start to learn like why the characters, like, they all have sadness and loss in their life, and it's not an exposition dump that gets us across. It's through like gestures and actions and little hunks of like flashbacks. No, not even really flashbacks. Just little hunks of reveal. Yeesh. Yeah, stuff gets like dished out slowly, and like you kind of learn why they're sad, you want to learn more about these characters, but at the same time, it's like you learn enough to realize what's going on and why they're sad and why they're sort of no longer friends, but they're trying to like patch it all together because it's high school and they have to have a bigger problem to solve. So they're working together. It's pretty poignant. I like it. Okay, this is Decorum number 7. This is the more Hickman-y of the Hickman books this week. It's very Hickman-y. There's charts. Yes, he's got charts and graphs and explaining things and fantastic art by Huddleston. And this is again the penultimate issue of this, where everything starts to sort of come together. I need to reread the first 6, and I need to reread the whole thing when it's all said and done because like there's a lot of threads that are sort of like coming together to form a cohesive story. There was one where you're like, how the heck is he going to do that? And there's still a little bit of how the heck is he going to do that, but it all is making a bit more sense. There's an assassin, there's an egg, there's possibly a universe-altering event that happens or universe-destroying event. There's different factions at play, and it all promises to be a pretty interesting ending next issue, or possible ending, at least possible. And Hickman's one where I don't need to understand everything going on the first time through. I like his denseness in this better when he has his own free reign and can just go wacky with it. And I'll give this a read. I'll probably give it a couple reads when it's all said and done. So he's not for everybody. I know Hickman's definitely not everybody's cup of tea, but I like his creator-owned stuff generally better than his X-Men stuff. Both are okay. Decorum's better. All right, Barbalian number 5, Barbalian Red Planet number 5. Sorry, folks. Words, they are hard. This is the wrap-up of this little mini-series. It's one of Jeff Lemire's creations. It's sort of a what if the Martian Manhunter were gay and living in the 80s during the AIDS crisis and ended up like having a partner who was also a human living through that and then was being chased down by Martians for different but sort of related reasons and persecuted on his own planet and on Earth. And this wraps up that story in a not a pleasant way, but in a earned way. This conclusion does feel very well earned. The cover, it's not a spoilery cover, but the cover should help you realize what emotion, anger is the main emotion in this issue. And it's an undercurrent throughout the first 4 issues, but it really comes to a head in this one, and it wraps things up pretty well. So there you go, Barbalian. 2 left, folks. 2 left. Giga number 3. This is great. It started off as and it still is you're in this world where these giant battle mechs or transformer husks are around, and people are living in them, and it's like a post-apocalyptic thing, and artificial intelligence has sort of been outlawed, and messing with these husks has kind of been outlawed. But then it's turned now into a metaphor for religion and the control religion has over everyday life versus freedom and expression and they're doing some really interesting things in this book, and I'm interesting to see where it goes. This is doesn't necessarily advance the plot a whole lot, a little bit. I mean, it does enough, but it explores the issues more so than the previous couple have, and it's still gorgeous. And I'm look. I don't know how many issues of this are left. I hope it goes on for a little longer, at least, because it's been a pleasant surprise. You had me hooked at giant transformers and end of the world stuff, anyways. But then you throw in some of this other deeper stuff, and it's a pretty compelling read. So, all right. And here is my favorite book of the week. It's, again, not going to be for everybody, but it involves one of my favorite characters, and I'm definitely biased, and I'm definitely I might not be alone in my opinion on this one. I think it's a solid book no matter what. But you had me at Beta Ray Bill. I mean, honestly. And Daniel Warren Johnson, who, I can't remember what else. Man, I'm having a brain fart again. As far as what else he's done. I know he's written some stuff I really liked. But he's doing the art and the writing on this. And it's kind of, it's Fin Fan Foom being possessed by a symbiote. And it's, Beta Ray Bill trying to fend him off, along with the rest of Asgard, and then things happen, and it's Beta Ray Bill is sort of portrayed in this, and fleshing out a bit of his story. He's a tragic character, and Daniel Warren Johnson's leaning into that, and there's a couple more issues of this. I think it's 5 I think. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. And his art is unique and like thick lined and expressive, but still clear enough storytelling. Like I really enjoyed this, and I mean I know again I know I'm biased because like Beta Ray Bill is one of my favorite characters, but it just sort of fleshes in a little bit. Not necessarily the backstory of Beta Ray Bill. It doesn't really do a whole lot to like add more backstory to it, but it does sort of like remind you of the tragic nature of Beta Ray Bill, not just the strong, like kind of goofy '80s look, which is sort of also what I found in compelling. I love the Walt Simonson character design, but I also love what Daniel Warren Johnson's doing here. I think the art's gorgeous, and I think his treatment of Beta Ray Bill and making him sort of this hulkish, almost grotesque creature that like volunteered to be experimented on to have save his people, or only to have that fail. That's not spoilers. That happened long ago in Marvel. He is a tragedy, and he is a tragic figure, and this kind of explores it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. I hope it leads to more Beta Ray Bill. And I know I'm biased. I do not care because that's the whole point of reading is you read what you like, and you hope it's good, right? Or you pick up books and you hope like have characters you grow to love as a comic reader, a serial, any form of serial entertainment, and you hope that the creators treat them with respect, and you hope the creators do great things with them. If not, like don't read any superhero comics because you're not going to get that out of it. So, or if you're not looking for that, indie comics are probably the what you should be reading, and indie comics are great. I like both. I can't help it. I like the escapist nature of the superhero stuff, and I like the serial nature of it, and I even sort of like the fact that death is impermanent, unpermanent, non-permanent. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just going to end this one now with this kind of ramblingness. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. See you next week on this video. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I do other videos where I review at least a trade paperback a week or one collected story a week. I open mystery boxes. I go live sometimes and drink whiskey and complain about life. Or, expound forth great little hunks of wisdom while drinking bourbon. Whichever. It depends on how you look at it. So, all right, that's all I got. Yeah, don't be a dick.